I hope people have found lightness in hearing the message, yes, and to uh, sometimes if you're gung ho, it has to just lose momentum on its own. Yeah. But other times you can hear something, it may save you a lot of time.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I feel that guy just saved a lot of time.
What's time, Paul?
well, yeah. Well, time is an influence here. And I like to be as an action figure, it's bound by so many activities. Time is one of them. And it's nice to have a little liberation, a relative liberation.
A parrot one. Yeah.
I call that sleep.
What? Sleep. Yeah. Yeah. Sleep is good.
I want to be liberated from my relatives.
Oh, that's easy. Change, change your last name, bro. Yeah.
I
That's
heard, I
Yeah.
heard, I
you
heard,
need
Okay.
a craniosacral guy, you know.
Yeah.
I heard a song the other day called "I Don't Like Half the Folks I Love."
Yeah.
Yeah.
A guy named Paul Thorne. It's pretty funny. I thought it was
Yeah. He's singing it at some people, and they're singing the same thing at him.
exactly, exactly. He's on the receiving end and the giving end. It's
That's
wonderful.
right. This idea of, yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, I guess we'll start. So I'm really happy to be here as usual. Uh, these things weren't read. I found out a lot of things, and one of them was the trying to get out of what you're not in and trying to get into what you're not out of. It's a real fundamental in the new basis that something rests on, and uh, and then that the desire to become and unbecome. None of these things have a driver. They're just acts of driven, yes? But there's no driver. You're not the one doing it. It's you're the awareness of it. Yeah. Now the awareness seems to be forgotten, and then you take yourselves to be that which you're aware of. Yeah.
Mm.
And then one of them gets singled out and made into a special you, and now it's you are aware, and then you've been coronated into the me, which has complete exemption of any kind of comparisons or similarities with other yous. Yeah. I used to work with this guy. You run into a lot of minds, small minds in the recovery. Yeah. And this guy he would have the most unique problems. So he could say it, this is the problem. And he had this one, he was a bicyclist and he got this vague pain in his scrotum. Yeah. Couldn't get to the bottom of it. And it was pretty close to being the problem. No one else has had this problem. But I worked with him for about 10 years, and we must have gone through 12 the problems. Yes, so he would forget, obviously, the past the problem and be only the problem now, but I didn't forget the past the problems, and I would uh, unwarrantedly bring it up to him as he was feasting on the problem. And it's that idea of we see only the past. I think it's more than that. You feel only the past, you think only the past. Basically, all of the activities of consciousness triggering an experience or whatever uh, is just redoing. Yeah, it's a redoing, and so. Uh, one of the things is you can't get out of what you're not in. And I had a couple of huge uh, demonstrations of that in this little life. And I've always shared the one that happened in Australia at the Path of Love. And I mean, all the glory and longing and meaning that was given to the fact that I had somehow, don't not remembered, separated from God or something, and I had lost my way. And I was confronted with, I'm never going to be able to get back. And I mean, the tears of 1,000 seekers and stuff like that I was going through. And what when I was in that idea, what was brought up could not only it could only support the idea. Yeah. There was no opposite recognition. I swear. And then it only happened a couple of days later where I finally arrived at the clearest conclusion, which is I had never left. That's why I can't get back. So if you have never left, and that's why you can't get back, then every movement to get back is a reinforcement of the belief you can never get back. Yes? You see that, right? In duality. Just like in duality, they talk about in the Course of Miracles, in reality, in the Course of Miracles of actively denying what you are and firm in faith in this something else your head has made to be yourself. Yeah, that's the thing. So here, if the fact is on having never left, any drive to arrive at is not of you. Yes? Yeah, this is the beauty of the underlying fact of non-duality. It gives you the vision to see what you're not, because what you're not is going to react in a very misunderstanding way to on having never left. It is. And this is how you can see the thumbs stick out or the emperor with no clothes. So you hear something like being ourselves reality, and that becomes the new measure. Yeah. And then you watch all these reactions that were just assumed to be you react to that being ourselves reality. And it's I beg to differ, ba ba da 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 da. And would you now being yourself reality, are you moved to try to work with that? No, there's a negation of it. And where is it negated? Not right or wrong, you're just not it. Yeah. Hallelujah. So when it whistles, it's not a call to you, it's just a whistling. Yeah. Yeah. So and then non-duality again, maybe with 6 sentences that are less than like 5 words, it will just, you'll get up from the mat after you've been knocked down, and then it'll knock you down again and knock you down again. And then there's just a recognition that that which you're not is always going to get up and is going to get knocked down. Yeah, but at one point, I hope round one, but maybe round 3 or 4, you're not that which keeps getting up. Yeah. And now you see from the knockout that thing which is denying and saying, I can overcome all this shit, or I can get back to where I never left, and all this stuff. And you see just the bogusness of it. And actually, in where I was, the atmosphere that I was breathing got more accepting. Yes, that's all. I, it wasn't like I've got to defeat this so that I can be okay. I just realized I can be okay with this thing just as it is. Yeah. The key is not to see it as me, because the seeing it as me just triggers so many reverberations that you can get lost easily. And you fundamentally don't recognize you can't get into what you're not out of, and you can't get out of what you're not in. You don't recognize it, obviously, because we keep trying to get out of what from what we're constantly trying to get out of what we're not in, and we're trying to get into what we're not out of. Yeah. This same thing, dilemma, has its own side play in recovery. Yeah. And in recovery, through hard-earned beatdowns, enough people got together and realized self can't get out of self, or this idea of you as a long-lasting, independent, separate entity cannot get out of the feeling of a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. And it doesn't get that. Yeah. So any waste of time trying to talk into the fact that it can't get out of self as self doesn't land. Yeah, I saw enough where I came to that conclusion, or I was brought to that conclusion. That conclusion has never changed. There's a lot of conclusions in my life that were wrong, and life proved them to be wrong. This conclusion has never been addressed by life after I saw it and I heard that. Self cannot get out of self, yet it doesn't think so. It thinks it can get out of self. Yeah. So you have to have a feeling that all of you right now is not you, in a sense. Yeah. All of it. All of it is not you. So understanding has a huge amount of value to lead you to that point. All of it is not you. Yeah. There's not a you that you are that's going to get out of the you that you're not. Because there's only a you in in what you're not. There's no you, yeah, other than the you, the idea of an individual in the individuality. That's the only place there is. So there isn't an individual that's going to get cleanly out of the other individual. So it's sort of like you've hit your head enough times in the wall and it got through. Yeah. And now what hits the head isn't yours. Yeah. And instead of you've got to stop that, there's a compassion for the whole thing. Yeah. Like sometimes that we have people over and they joke around with the dog because they have let's say a higher intellect than the dog does. And so they confuse the dog and they get a laugh out of it. I don't particularly like it. Yeah, I don't. Because understanding the dog can only go so far, there's a lot of compassion for the dog in a lot of ways. Yeah. The same with this. You see the mental activity dies in its own pride. Yes. It's not like, oh, I'm going to really beat it as it's going down. No, there's just a recognition of it. And then it's functioning in this dreaming has its wins and losses and oh, and there's no individual that has separated from that and is seeing it. Yeah. So if you're waiting, you feel like there's been a negation of this and you're waiting as that to get a super, super duper relief, it's a non-duality. It's this and that is not you. Yeah. You didn't get when the mental activity got caught in the net, everything of it got caught in the net. You didn't slip out the pure radical you. Yeah. You've never gone anywhere. Don't know how to get it, but uh, whatever gets the understanding is a knowingness. It's not something that's going to be get a lot of knowledge. It's a knowingness in us, like an aha. That's what gets fed to a certain point, and then it thrives on its own. Your your wanting or whatever understanding is just muted, yes? And that to me is the dimension of dog shit awareness, literally. Yeah, yeah. So, but the consistency or the consciousness of it, I used to have this sound. I hear a lot of sounds, yeah. And it could be people have something called titiness, but it seems to bother them. I like whatever this is, so I don't care if it's whatever. It has a lot of nice quality, and over time, I hear it all the time. Yeah. Now, if I and it's the sound of it is before the sound of the breath and the sound of the blood moving. Whatever sound that would be the most intimate in the physical, this is before it. Yeah. And when you go, and Ramana used to say this thing about the big S self, everywhere. He says, just follow everything back to its source and you will arrive at where you never left. Yeah. So you follow it back. So times I would follow that sound back as far as it went. Yeah. So I passed the heartbeat, I passed the breath, and there it was, whatever. And then there was no other sound. And what was hearing the sound wasn't a sound. Yeah. Sort of, I met myself finally in a weird way. Yeah. Can't recognize it. Well, what happens when when you meet yourself, you are going to be diminished greatly. That's why that which you're not really isn't excited about meeting it. So you went there. So there used to be this statement that I loved that I didn't know why, and then I investigated, which is whatever is hearing can't be heard, whatever is seeing can't be seen, whatever is tasting can't be tasted, whatever is da da da. Yes? So I followed a couple of the senses back as far as I could go, and you always stop at that which is hearing the sound. So you've gone to the closest sound you can find, and there's no other sound closer than that to you. And then when you get to that last sound, the hearing of it isn't a sound. Yeah. Yeah. Now you could know yourself if you were a sound, but you can't know yourself because you're the knowing. Yeah. You're the knowing. It's not the thing that you're knowing, it's the knowing of things. You're that. You are the seeing of what you're not. You are the awareness of what you're not. And so at that point, that void, in a sense, just intimates itself. But that intimation can have a huge effect on this poor little carriage called the action figure. Yeah? So, uh, if you try to ride knowing, understanding as far back as you could, you would have to get off it. Yeah. If you try to go experience as far, you'd have to get off it. If you're trying to get, have it grow at your whim and your wishes, you're gonna have to drop. It's got that all that has to drop. Yeah. Yeah. You, in a sense, are the emperor with no clothes. You're not seeing the emperor with no clothes. Before you see the emperor in no clothes, you are the emperor with no clothes for all. Yes. I don't know. It sort of was it was a dead end, but it's not like a dead end. Yeah. But it's a dead end in a way of, can I get around it? Can I get over it? Can I get under it? Can I wait till the light turns and keep going? It's a dead end that way, but it's not like a dead end. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just using what has ever happened to me was seemingly coincided with exactly what we're doing now, satsangs. Yeah. Hearing a message, I didn't get wedded. I didn't marry the person that was given the message. I didn't sleep at his door, when he was asleep. I didn't cut his toenails and shit. I was very grateful to hear the message, but I was moved to go other places. Yes. And then those messages that I heard, that energy triggered things, which brought me to a sufficient enough loss of interest in self that I could actually see it, yeah, instead of looking from it all day. You could say it's like a death before you die, in a way, yeah, because it changes that, like that innate drive in all your seeing and doing and thinking that you're going to go somewhere. It snuffs that out. So you're truly here, not because you've discovered it. You discovered that you cannot be anywhere else. Yeah. And it just works. It's just there's a finalness to it that has, because how many things we thought were over, and then, like you do an inventory of resentments, and then you think it's over, and then you have a resentment the next day, and it's a bummer, yeah, because you're always hoping, is this the fucking end of things? And then you have a lot of hope, and then it isn't, yeah. But in a way, this delivered the goods. Yeah, yeah. So, so if you have any questions, uh, just hearing this, I believe all of us have enough. Whatever life you've had and are having doesn't have an innate value. Its value is based on what's seeing it. Yeah. So if your head changes, there's parts of the head that will see value in everything, where in through self-centeredness you can't. But you will be able to see value in everything that's ever happened, in a sense that it had brought you to this moment in a way. Yeah? Yeah. So satsang, all of us probably have spent hundreds of years of searching and seeking. Yeah. Now you're going to search without being the searcher. Now you're going to seek without being the seeker. And because you're not the seeker, you're going to be in the found. Yes. Because the seeking is now not being used to reinforce the seeker. You've lost interest in that. You're into the found. Yeah. Seeking doesn't look that attractive. You're in the found, and there it goes. Yeah. I mean, it's like you're running laps and then someone stops counting the laps. You just keep going. As long as the race is being run, you're running the race. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you don't have interest. You have interest, but you've lost a lot of interest. Uh, it's like the fat of interest got cut off. Yes. And now it's like sleek and it's, yes, you have enough interest. All this other miscellaneous interest was being used. I humbly believe what the head points us to is to see a reflection of the imaginary thing. Yes. So when I would do dishes, maybe there was a pale reflection of Paul doing the dishes. But when Paul started seeking in spirituality, it produced a big reflection of Paul. Yeah. And therefore, the head got into it because the seeking really reflected a big seeker. Yeah. And I realized there is a hierarchy of meaning. Your head has given meaning to things, and some things it doesn't give much meaning to, but other things it gives a lot of meaning to. Yeah, yeah. And in my case, spiritual seeking, it gave a lot of meaning to, a lot of meaning. And knowing only one suit, which was the addict and shit like that, something was was really into putting on another suit, and that was the spiritual seeker suit. Yeah. And there was pride involved and all this stuff. I thought it was different, but it really was the same. Yeah. And I thought a lot of stuff that got corrected just by hearing satsang and then letting it do what it does. Because when there's a hearing of satsang and then the meeting's over, the hearing of it ain't over. Yeah. It's gonna go, it's doing stuff without your attention, which is the best shit to be done because when you're attentive to it, you distort it, right? The head changes things when it's so if you're doing it unbeknownst to the head's little sauron eye, it has a better chance of sticking. Because it's busy looking, and you're in the found now. What was all the seeking driven by? It wasn't found. Yeah. Once there's a found, there's a loss of interest in seeking. Yeah. It's just simple. This isn't like you got to swear and vow and give up a lot of shit that you know you don't want to give up. It's all those orders and requirements come from the head. There's basically uh, that which is obvious is obvious. We're the ones that are surprised. But the obviousness of what you are to what you are is just that. It's not like a July 4th every day. There's an obviousness like surely, yes, yeah. Like the course would say when they had that description, surely you would understand, yeah? If this and this and this was seen, surely you would understand. There would be a lot of shit wouldn't be necessary, yeah? Yeah. That happens. So, all right. Anyone?
No, no hands, Paul. Oh, Mike Clark would like to come in. Hey, Mike.
You're already in, so but
I'm in now. Now I'm trying to get out.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
You were talking about cutting the fat away from your interests, getting down to something that's sleek and it's not, it's not as well. At any rate, you're talking about losing interest in things.
Let's hold on one second, Mike.
Yeah.
You're observing that. You're not doing it.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand. You're watching it happen.
Yeah.
Watching it happen. And one of the aspects of that I've watched recently that seems to be disappearing is my interest in outcomes, like what's going to happen from anything that appears in front of me. I'm kind of to the point where one outcome is about as good as another. And because what basis would I have to judge it on anyway? It's not me. So yeah, there's really no criterion for judging it or deciding what's good and what's bad. I mean, so okay, it's one, so that's whatever happens, happens, and that's very different from what I've grown up as, we say, the course that you're talking about, the course says we see only the past, and I think that what that means is that we see only the context that we're used to, the brain or the head can't get past any of that. So all it has to work with is what experiences it thinks it's had. So, and those are all in the past. So as long as we keep using that tool, it ain't going to get the job done. It's the wrong tool for the job in a way. Trying to put something into context is definitely looking at the past. So I guess that's one of the things I've just noticed is less of is the attachment to any kind of outcome of any action or of any event. That's all.
I agree with that. See, the magic marker of compartmentalizing and borders and boundaries fades out for sure. And you realize, that the head is always waiting for a defining moment. Yeah. And yet every moment is an open definition. Yes. So all this stuff that, in a way, you don't, the mental tires are like squares. Yeah. Yes. You realize that, and then there's a replacement with a real tire. Yeah. You don't rehab the square. Yeah, you just recognize it's the reason why you're not going anywhere. It's a square. I can't get over the first right angle. I can't, I'm stumped. Yes. It's like me working on cars. I get stumped immediately. And the guy next to me is a professional mechanic, and it's unbelievable the easiness of him building a motorcycle motor in like 3 hours, where I would be on Google and nothing. Yeah. So you see this in different samples. Yeah. But it's truly the mental logic is illogical. It's based on a premise that's not correct, but it doesn't want to admit that. So it's a very proud logic, yeah, and so it can't admit defeat or that it can't do something. And you see that, and it's exhausting, yeah, because I believed I could be changed. I did. I thought I could be changed getting loaded. Yeah, I wanted to change how I felt, and I believed I could change how I felt. But that's not true. I can't. The system can't change the system. That's the system. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel finally the recognition is of failure, and that's a huge success. Yeah. You recognize you're never going to get it and all this, and you come to a great peace about it. Yeah. Not like super pissed and angry, and then you do the reverse shit. You blow up some temples or something like that. No, you're just like, all right, I I tried to do a double backflip 850 times, haven't landed it. Hey, maybe I'm not meant to land a double backflip. Oh, really? Yeah. That's okay. And then you see things, that little recognition opens up something, and then another recognition opens up, and you see how things were bound by your old ideas and all this. Yes? Yeah. It's not always like that. You hit a point where uh you're like a free range something. Yeah. The, the work is not, you're not working much. There's not like uh yeah. This isn't like I use every moment to make a bigger, better moment. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a disarming of that. See, the head tries to give you a meaning or a purpose to cover up its innate agitation. It's just agitated. Yeah. It's agitated. Yeah. It it says it would love to find peace, but it can't embrace peace because it's going to agitate the peace. Yeah. Yeah. It just is. Whatever it meets, it's going to infect that enlightenment or liberation or awakeness with chaos, with agitation. Yeah. That's why I say here, I've been freed from the need to be liberated. That agitation is looking for relief, but as the agitation, it cannot get it. Yeah. So, end of story. I've seen beautiful people. I've seen people become the most unperson they could be. Yeah. But it doesn't have, yeah. The personhood just bleeds out every time. Yeah. I ran into a lot of ayahuasca people when I was years ago. especially in Canada. I would be doing talks there. And this one night, when there's a talk going on, a lot of times what's talking through this really captures someone in the audience specifically that I have no idea who it is. Yeah. So they're always surprised. How does this guy know me? I don't know them. Something that's given the talk knows them. Yeah. So I was at this talk and I was saying, man, I wish I could just go to Peru, and paint my face, and I would do a big hit of ayahuasca, the biggest one they'd offer at that ayahuasca bar. I would be taking that big hit. Yeah. And maybe, seeing all those large insects and everything like that. And then having another ceremony 2 days later and having a life ready for more ceremonies. Yeah. And I said I'd be a blogger and I'd write a book and I'd get a serpent tattoo on my arm. And then I have a little niche, a little identity. Yeah. I'm a ayahuasca taker. Nice identity. That would fit me. I like that one. And so a guy comes up to me after the talk. He's got a white t-shirt on like Mike, and he has a serpent tattoo and has a blog and wrote a book. And he was like the big ayahuasca person in that area. I had no idea, but something did. And he came up to me, and it was really cool. A lot of people from this community started to show up because we were entertaining the missing thing in their experience. When they had their experience, they still had them. Yeah. They didn't have an understanding that what took the ayahuasca isn't what did the ayahuasca. Yeah. Yeah. So fine, they said, and it was just this helpful little understanding that they weren't that, which uh, brought a stability to those effects that was so ephemeral, let's say, or they would disappear, leading to another ceremony. Yes. And is it a ceremony if you're doing it 3 times a week? I mean, obviously, that could be addiction in a sense. So it was a trip. Yeah, it was a trip because all the time I was meditating, it never really brought me to the questioning of the meditator. Never really did. And the self-inquiry, there was still the stabilized self that was asking who is the other self. Where I didn't know that the one who's asking who am I and the one that seemingly is being asked who am I are both not us. Yes. And that self-inquiry is to get the two jamokes in the same room at the same time so that you can see both of them as not you. Wow, I had no idea. Yeah. I thought the clarity of me was asking the unclarity of me, who are you? So that I would recognize I'm not that and be more the clarity of me. I didn't know it was negating both the asker and the asked. Yeah. Whoop, no one. Yeah. Wow. So, yeah. Anyone now? Or
Steve from Florida.
Oh, Steve from Florida. Come on, Steve.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, Paul. Couple of things. You just used the word identity. And I look back at me into seeking, and that's what I thought I was seeking was, you know, along the lines of identity. What am I? Who am I? I was looking for a noun. I was looking for like a who kind of thing. Um, or to get into some story, either create a story or get a story. I thought that was the role of life. That's what it looked like from the little self. And when you the last, I don't know, it was today or yesterday, you said it's a what, I'm a what that forgets, thinks he's a who, and then the who goes looking for the what.
Yes.
That was that I was doing. See, I didn't. I mean, it took me a long time. I couldn't phrase it like that. I but when you say that, that's what's to me is so important about coming to these. I might hear the same thing 1,000 times, and I hear one little. You said it today in the 12-step thing. How you would say this is not this, and it was very very similar, but it was 1,000% different. That's why I keep doing this, because it puts this in me, and something in me hears it, something in me recognizes it, which is what I think the knowing is. It's me, so of course it knows. It's like there it is, and so it's really just saying yes.
Yes. I just did it. Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's very rare that you go to a meeting that it's being talked to. Yeah.
Right.
Not the who. The who is seen as the obstacle. We're shooting for the what. Most most meetings, it's difficult not to switch back to the who. Yeah. Yes. So they
Yeah.
start with the what, but it gets lost and it turns into the who again. Yeah. So it's like I felt it captured by this statement. I don't know if it was true or not about Ramana Maharshi, the godfather of this whole thing, that some of his people that had been with him a long time were sitting around together and they were talking about, do you think we're ready to teach? Can we invite people concerning this message? So he walked in. So then they asked him, and he said, "Oh, yeah, all of you can teach, but I don't recommend it." So they were like, "What?" And he says, "Oh, yeah." And he says, they go, "Why?" He says, "Compassion." And they were again a little bit perplexed. They go, "What?" He says, "You'll be sitting in front of a group of people and you'll have compassion for them and you'll dilute the message." So to stay with the what throughout
Mhm.
instead of flipping into the who, yes, that would be a disservice of a compassion. And I'm a believer in that a lot. Now I have the 12-step meetings to go into the who, but here you want it all what. And the information is about the who, but it's not for the who, it's for the what. Yeah. Yeah. So we're just talking a lot about the who, but not for the who. We're talking about the who so that the what can hear it. Yeah. And get a fucking clue. Yeah. Even though uh, it knows it's the ocean, it's even that which is above the surface. This streaming. Yeah. Because the who seems to have its own realm, but no. Yeah. All there is what. There is no who. Yeah. But it's difficult, even when you're working
Right.
with people, the compassion to try to fit it around the way that people think doesn't work. Yes, I feel humbly. So it's just we're aiming at the what and we're trying to get around the who. That's the intention. So basically, the obstacle I see is the person sitting in the Zoom. What I'm targeting is the space around the person. That's the what, not the things in it, but the space of it. Yeah, that's the what we're trying to get through to. And then if you tell the what about the who, the what will see, hey, I'm not the who. Yes. And
Yeah.
then of course, the who is going to go mimic it and go, hey, I'm not the who as a who. That doesn't work, as most of us have done when they heard non-duality. We immediately thought I was a self that could be a non-self as a self. It didn't work well. I remember the first time I tried to pull it off. My girlfriend, I was living in Byron Bay, and she went out and she asked me to do the dishes.
Yeah.
And when she got home, the dishes weren't done. And she said, Paul, didn't I tell you to do the dishes? There is no Paul. She said, fuck you, do the dishes. And I did. And I grew up out of that non-duality adolescence quickly. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the other thing that helped was what you just said it a few minutes ago, and you've said it before, is you negate both.
Yes,
So in the beginning, there was only with me, there was only, of course, mind. So I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, but eventually I had the witness experience where, oh yeah, I'm meditating my ass off all the time, and I'm having these experiences, and I can see all these things, and and what you said is it's just another thought. So then when I negate that, something remains, which is the verb.
yes,
And that's another thing I love it is verbing no nouns. And that's
yes,
all there is.
yes,
Very helpful.
yes. Well, great. Well, yeah. There's a negation. See, uh, people have the idea of a witness or the observer or stuff like that. Uh, Now, witnessing and observing are cool. Those are verbs. But when they're claimed and then made into a noun, they become part of the impediment in a way. Yes? Because now you're trying to get it is how a noun would get it. Yeah? And you can only really get a verb as a verb. You can't know a verb through a noun. You won't catch it. I mean, the Colorado River, you can get as many glasses of water from there and put it on your mantle and say, that's the Colorado River, but you miss an essence of it, which is the rivering. Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is why when you hear the message, you're hearing it based on a verb, and this is what brings into stark contrast all the nouning. And then you can greet that with I'm not that. And that's a good starting point and see where it takes you. Yeah. But when the noun is doing all the verbing, it's disguised quite well. But when you see from a verb the noun, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And that's the seeing of the emperor with no clothes. Yes. So it's adorned itself with verbing, but it's an empty husk. There is no noun. There is no doer, but there's lots of doing. There's no feeler, there's lots of feeling. Yeah? So it's taken all the claiming of this verbing and made up an appearance. Yeah, but it's empty. Yes, empty. So things come and go and move through it. Nothing stays and becomes you. Nothing stays and becomes you. Nothing. Nothing. Everything is moving through and through and through and through. Yeah. Yeah. So this, could you imagine if they had traffic jams of clouds in the sky? Yeah. They had their disabled parking placard and the cloud stayed a lot longer. Cars would be trying to get in, and there would be a giant congestion of cloud in the sky. No, shit comes and goes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So you have the essence of verbing in you as you. This isn't like forming a new paradigm. It's an unsuspected one. That's all. Yeah. The myopic is proud of its myopicness and it won't admit a lot of stuff. Yeah. We don't enlist it in this event. We go around it. Yes. Through I'm not that. Yeah. Yes. And then let the verb do the talking to you instead of, yeah. Yes. Yeah. I remember it very well because usually in life you have a hit like a biography of you. Yeah. So I grew up in Long Island, New York. Irish family, you know, and you could read it off, and that would be a nice synopsis of you. And then I got introduced to the Course in Miracles, and it really described me as a verb. You know, you and I are giving everything all the meaning it has, all this stuff. And the description in the Course sounded a lot more intimate to me than the biography of the action figure. Yeah, because the biography of the action figure was all noun. Yes. And you don't feel like that. You don't. Yeah. When you're described as a verb, there's an aha to it. Yeah, because that's echoing and you know and wakening the walls when the echo hits. Yeah. This isn't, it's not like there's no resource. It's just unsuspected with this obsession with the idea of being a noun. Yeah. Yeah. This isn't like, oh, this is the true authentic you. There's never been an authentic you. And there never will be. Yeah. Like I remember early on, a lady would got in touch with me and says, I've been freed from my ego. And she was going off, but everyone else's ego is bothering the hell out of me. I said, well, yes, that's okay. I don't think that's how it works, but all right, let's go. Yeah. There's no last man standing or last woman standing. There isn't. It's another, it's another bowling pin. Yeah, that you don't want the bowling ball to hit because somehow you think it's you, but it's, you know, yeah, it's another bowling ball pin. Ah, you can have sort of an event. I remember one time in the pitiful, uh, impossible, incomprehensible demoralization of addiction, you know, when the whole thing was going to get caught, a little bit of it would always sneak out and observe it and be the observer. Oh yeah, you're really fucked and all like this. Yes. But one time it got caught. It didn't get out. The doors closed and it got caught. And there was no observer. There was no, oh, a part of me that saw the rest of me fucked. There was all of it was caught. Yeah, it was unbelievable. Didn't last for long. It didn't, but I saw something that I wasn't meant to see, probably, from the head's point of view. It got caught. It couldn't escape and be the observer of me being fucked. It got caught. It was part and parcel of the whole thing. Yes? Yeah. There's not a you that is its own beacon waiting to get over all these other yous. There's no other yous. Yeah. It's not going to stop. It's not going to have its enlightenment. You're enlightened about it, really. And that enlightenment is you're not it. Probably no one probably will throw a parade for you or anything. You won't get special treatment at the 7-Eleven. No, 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 no. Yeah. All right.
Ernie has his hand up.
All right. Come on in. Come on, Ernie.
Hi, Paul. Hi, everyone. Hey, Paul. Yeah, just you said now there's no you, so it means there are no others too.
That's right.
'Cause
Yeah.
there's
Of course.
so yeah. I'm just going back. Is you said like the thing? There's no thinker. It's just a thought. So thinking's happening,
Yes.
but somehow you attributed it to you because you are working on something. So basically, it's just working on a practical point of view, like electricity, or you're fixing some other stuff, and then the thinking and the working is there. But now I some sort of kind of understand it because in the Tao they said like the master works, and after he works, he 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 simply forgets it. That's why it lasts forever. So it's basically like there's working or this thing, he's working, but not attributed to you. So what hits me now, right earlier, is that everything about you, you said earlier that all of it, it's not you. Like whatever you think about it, it's not you. So when I heard that, it was just like, that was just brutal. It was just pierced to my heart. Like this, it's there's nothing on me in there. So it's like my whole world collapsed because nothing can be attributed to me. And when I think about when you said that's what you are, it's not something, but my mind is like objectifying something, like something that like awareness is trying to also conceptualize because you're awareness, but it's also not. Then you're back to the illusory stuff like that, and then yeah, and so you can't be, it's like not. I guess it's enough to know what you are not. What you are can't. You don't have to know it.
No, definitely. You can't know it. You'd have to be something else to know it.
Yeah, so that was just brutal. It
You
was
can
like,
only know what you're not. You can't know what you are. You're it. So you're being what you are. Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So everyone wants to keep studying, but they can't study the studying. They can't get before the studying. So every time they start studying a topic, the topic is after the studying is before, then they try to study the studying, they can't do it because that would be studying. Yes? Yeah? So this is the point. The head uh, is going to run out of numbers. It's going to run out of letters. It's going to run out of things, and it's going to hit itself against this limitation that there's no escape. Yeah, because you are of what you are of made of what you're in. So in the mental system, you are pictured as a thing. That thing can't be pictured anywhere else but in the mental system. Yeah. If the thing tries to leave the mental system, it will realize it's of the mental system. Yeah. In other words, a thought is not going to leave the system of thought and be an independent thought in and of itself. Yes? It's only a thought in this event. Yeah. Yeah. Now that's frustrating to the head, but it's a hallelujah because you might as well just drop it in this moment because you're going to have to drop it probably sooner than later. So you just I like these ideas where I remember I spent a lot of time trying to get off the horse that I was riding in life. Yeah. I didn't like it. I didn't like its direction. And I do tons of shit to get off that horse. And then life would inevitably drag me back to a horse, and it would be the same fucking horse. So at a certain point, I realized if I jump off this horse, I'm going to be dragged back to a horse. So I'm just going to stay on the horse. Yes. End of fighting, end of battle. And it really worked. Now that's why I am in Novato completely because I realized I can't, at this moment, I can't be anywhere other than in Novato. Yeah. No matter how much the head wants this and does that, it's obvious. Yeah. This is the horse that's being ridden right now. Yeah. If I jump off it, I'm going to be dragged to a horse in Burlingame. I'll be in Burlingame or somewhere else. Yeah. So I just stay on the horse that I seem to be on right now, and it works. Yeah. Now it's not me, obviously, but the action figure has found a little solace because the head would love to say I would have been a professional surfer if I didn't if is the big thing. I didn't get run over by a car, but I did get run over by a car. So in its imagination, its if doesn't change the fact that I got run over by a car. Yeah? So do you see the absurdity of it? When it goes off on these tangents I would be totally free if only, but that if is not available. Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, I got to get going. I have to urinate. Yes. As an old man, if you're old, you know that's very important to do it as quickly as possible.
Otherwise, you'll do it anyway.
You may have an accident, and if you don't have any pants around, it could, yeah. So here we go. All right, so I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. Hey, thank you so much for this lively evening or day.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Michael Stacy, my main man. Yes, we got Steve R. in Florida. We got John in Florida. We got Kerry in Hawaii. Look at these lovely destinations people have, or places. Hawaii, Florida. We've got Mike Clark in Mexico. We've got Claire in Sydney. Wow. Judy Love in Love. That's good.
I like that.
Kathleen, well, Pennsylvania, but it's better than Delaware. We got Diona Fuzon. She's got a whole life ahead of her. Ernie, Stephen Mack on Having Never Left, the best location. Steve C, San Diego. Teresa, nice to see you, Teresa. Mia, as always. John, there's John in Florida. So yes, thank you so much. We'll be here tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Pacific time. People come over, so it's sort of a live meeting also. Oh, here's the creature getting the head rub. Yes, she likes this very much. Then she bites me. Yeah, she does. I think she goes into ecstasy. Then she has Catholic guilt, and so she bites me. Yeah, she can't take it. She can't take the unconditional love. All right.
Too much.
All right.